with his orange, flame orange robe and his crown of black hair. And, the days would differ. One day it would be sunny and bright, and one day it would be foggy. And, it's a very cool environment. It's just a perfect setting, to have Swami's darshan there. She was sitting right next to me. And she said, the only japa you need to do is keep saying Annapurni Mata, Jai Jai Annapurni Mata, and he will bless you.
Sairam, dear listeners, welcome to Sai SOUL 100. Our guest today is Sister Sowmini Kommireddi, who is joining us from Homedale, New Jersey. Sairam, Sister Sowmini, welcome to Sai SOUL 100.
Sairam, Prabha, thank you. Thank you so much for having me and giving me this opportunity today. It gives us beautiful time so we could just reminisce about our sweet Lord and, and my experiences with him.
Wonderful. Thank you. Please share your story.
When you actually asked me to talk, of course, my first reaction was a resistance. I said, no, I don't have big experiences. I don't have manifestations. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to share with the viewers. And of course, a good friend of mine reminded me, you don't need any other miracle. You are the greatest miracle of Swami. So that was a very profound statement. So just remembering that and putting my hands on Swami's feet. It would be easy for me to say, how I came to Swami, but that's not the truth. It's Swami who draws us to him, to renew that eternal bond that we share, and to enhance us to grow spiritually, in this birth too. So I grew up in the town of Madurai, Tamil Nadu, and my aunt was a practicing gynecologist there. And, the famous devotees of Swami, Srinivasan Chettiar and Subramanya Chettiar, their family happened to be patients of my aunt's. And that's how we got introduced to Swami. And, and they were such wonderful people. They were great devotees. They would bring back stories and miracles about Swami, miracles that Swami had done. And Sri Subramanya Chettiar, he was an old man. He was in his 80s at that point. Maybe I was in my 10th grade or so. He was in his 80s and is a frail man, so loving, and his devotion was so deep. And he would hold my hand, and he had so much affection for me. He would hold my hand and say, "Vadan getting a patko, what they would do," meaning that hold on to him tightly. He is God. That statement left a deep impression on me at that young age. And it was during that time frame that family decided to do the paduka ceremony. I don't know if you know what that is. For a cost, you would buy silver padukas of Swami, and they would take it to Swami and get it blessed. Swami would put his feet on the padukas. And then there would be a ceremony to consecrate that padukas, and and we would bring it to the altar and do puja, paduka puja. So at that juncture, they had planned to do 108 padukas only. All right, and of course, once the news got out, my aunts, my cousins' family, they all signed up for it. And of course, there was this deep desire in me to. I wanted a paduka too. But but my parents, they were very religious, very devout people, but they were not into Swami's fold at that point, in the 1980s. And they had a lot of restrictions from the elders in the house, and the in-laws and all that, my grandfather and all that. But my desire for this padukas was something I just wanted it, but it just so happened as time elapsed, the 108 were all taken, and I didn't get it, and my parents really hadn't agreed. So I was so deeply disappointed, but of course, the sweet Lord, I had a dream one night, and Swami came in my dream, and of course, I get up and I ask him, Swami, me padukal kavali, saying, I want your padukas. So he thought about it for 1 second. He said, "Enduku nu chala busy untav," meaning that why you'll be very busy. So I said, "Me kante emi," meaning what more do I have than you? Then again, after a pause, he said, "Okay, tisko, sari tisko." So and that was the dream. Because I wake up and how is the padukas going to come? 108 were already taken. So but if the Lord wills it, everything changes, right? So this dear Srinivasan Chettiar, he calls my aunt and says, we made 108 padukas. We're going to take it to Swami, but one of the families does not want the padukas because it doesn't have the symbol of the shankha and chakra in it. The typical the Vaishnavite symbol. It doesn't have the shankha and chakra. It only has a Zoroaster symbol, which is just a pot of fire, little pot with a fire, and they don't want that. I know your daughter was asking for it. Do you still want it? So of course, when they asked me, I said I doesn't matter what symbol, it's just Swami's padukas. I wanted it. So we got it, and they took it to Parthi, got it blessed by Swami, and there was a consecration ceremony, and the padukas came to my house. But the sweetness about it was that a simple yearning of a child, he was happy to answer it, and with that, Swami really, he kind of he stamped his presence in my heart. It was his divine feet were now planted in my heart, not just in the altar. And so so that's how my closeness to Swami began. And of course, we belong to a generation where we were lucky. We got the darshan, sparshan, and sambhashan of Swami. So I want to talk to you about a little bit of that. So I had seen Swami in Puttaparthi and a couple of darshans in Whitefield, but it was very far. But the most cherished darshan was in Kodaikanal. It's a hill station. It's a mountain area, rolling hills and greenery, and it's just so nice to see Swami. Swami would just come gliding down, with his flame orange robe and his crown of black hair. And the days would differ. One day it would be sunny and bright, and one day it will be foggy, and it's a very cool environment. It's just a perfect setting, to have Swami's darshan there. And I had the opportunity to work as a seva, to serve as a sevadal, at Kodaikanal. So it was in April of 1989. So just as I finished 12th grade. Since we were young, we were only like 16 or 17, we were given the least coveted seva of chapel service. So we had to like collect everybody's slippers and keep it safely until they finished darshan and came back. But we did it with so much relish. It was so much fun. There nobody to interfere with us. We would be outside. We would see all the devotees and say Sairam to them, and we just the regulars became good friends with us. So we were just really having fun. And then after we were done, we would just run up. We would be one of the last ones. My cousin and I would be one of the last ones to run up for darshan. And because we were so late, we were the last ones. We were just given that little spot near the steps. But that was the best part, because Swami had to take the steps every day going up to the hall. That's how we knew. Like, we pray to Swami for the things we want, and then he answers our prayers, right? So I had a whole laundry list of prayers to make to Swami. And of course, Swami comes walking beautifully, and that day he decides to actually stand for a few extra minutes by exactly where we were sitting. There's actually a picture of me with Swami on that particular day too. It's very cute. So Swami. So now I'm like, okay, now's the time. I'm going to pray to Swami and get all my put all my desires out there. Then, but then what happens? My mind just stopped. There are no thoughts. There was just this deep sense of inner stillness with Swami just right there next to me. And I'm trying to get my prayers out, but nothing happened. Just this deep sense of inner stillness, so beautiful. And it lasted for a few seconds, perhaps, or maybe a minute. And then Swami just walked away. And my prayers I didn't tell any of my prayers. But then I was kind of disappointed. I said, oh my God, I had this opportunity and I didn't tell Swami any of my prayers. But only with time, I realized what a greater blessing he had given me. He had given me the taste of that beautiful inner stillness that all of us long for. It is so. So now, even in my meditations, that is exactly what I seek. The little taste that he had given me is what I continue to seek. And of course, the sweet Mother Sai, we did something for him, so he's never going to let us go empty-handed, right? So the news came that the next day Swami was leaving, but he was going to give all the sevadals a lunch, So we were all excited. We'd finished after the darshan, we did all our seva, and then we were sitting in the shed, for the food to be served. There's a very ardent devotee of Swami. Her name is Veena Vijaya. Her name has been mentioned in many books and all. She was sitting right next to me. And she said, the only japa you need to do is keep saying Annapurni Mata, Jai Jai Annapurni Mata, and he will bless you. I don't know, she just said that, and okay, so all of 17, and what do? I listen to her. And internally I'm chanting, Annapurni Mata, Jai Jai Annapurni Mata. So, and as I'm saying, and the leaf was put in front of us, the food was being served, the good Lord walks beautifully to me, he comes up and he looks, Payasam saptacha, asking, have you eaten payasam, the sweet pudding, the kheer. I said, Illa Swami, in Tamil, Illa Swami, saying no Swami. So he looks at the lady who was serving and says, Bah, payasam podu, give her payasam. So, oh my God, how happy I was. It was just a small talk, that Swami does. But with that, he gives us so much immense joy. And to this day, I thank him for infusing that sweetness. He wanted to give me payasam. So, that was such a lovely sambhashan that I had with Swami. All right. Um, fast forward many years later, I became a doctor, and I moved here to New Jersey, and I'm a pediatrician. I did my residency. I'm a pediatrician. But one thing, profoundly stands out is I had this little patient, little kid who was like 18, 19 months old. Their parents were very young. They were, they just moved from India to the US, and I was his pediatrician. And the parents brought him on a Friday. The kid had a fever, and I looked at his ears, and he had a ear infection. So I started him on antibiotics. So that was on Friday. On Sunday, the mom had called and said, he actually spiked a 105 fever. So that was pretty high. I was a little worried, but I said, okay, anyway, he's on an antibiotic. Sometimes it takes time for the fever to resolve. So I had walked her through controlling the fever and everything, and the child was okay after that. So I said, just definitely come to the office on Monday so I can follow up. But when he came on Monday, I realized that he was very sick. The child had, just by clinically, I can see that he had pneumonia. He was very sick. His breathing wasn't right. So I immediately rushed him to the hospital. Via ambulance. The minute he got there, he was intubated, and he was admitted to the ICU on a ventilator. And my heart just broke. This is child under my care who had gotten sick so fast, and the parents were so young, so naive, just so new to the country, and they couldn't even navigate the system. So my heart just broke. And of course, who else do we turn to except the divine doctor? So I think around 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. I woke up, and I was just sitting at my altar, like the most ardent prayer from my heart, just praying to Swami, somehow bless this child, please. You cannot it cannot be a bad outcome. So, and as I was praying, I hear this loud thud, and I just open my eyes, and you see a hibiscus flower falls from Swami's picture onto the little altar. But a hibiscus can cause a thud. It's just falling from a small height, but it fell with such a force. And that there was peace in my heart, because I knew Swami is there to bless the child. And of course, just as Swami promised, little Ayush got better, and Swami gave him the Ayush that he needed to have. So, and eventually the family did end up moving back to India, but that was miracle. That was a miracle that that Swami had had performed in his life. And as a pediatrician also, I this is my habit. Like when I see a newborn child in my practice, and when I put that cold stethoscope on the child's heart, I actually chant either Om Bhurvuvaswa or Sai Gayatri as a blessing, for this child. So, so that's also become my sadhana, that every day I remember Swami at work. So, what it is, more than any miracles or any manifestations or experiences in my life, I have seen how Swami's, invisible hand has guided me. A simple person like me, he's guided me to grow spiritually. And at this juncture of my life, I realized that all the incidents that have happened, when I look back, all the incidents that have happened has been his divine orchestration in making me a more freer, um, freer person, more happy person, and helping me just evolve, helping me on my spiritual journey. Um, the thing with it is, how it happens is, a right person comes into your life, the right spiritual guide comes into your life, a teaching, a right book, and that's how he's guided me, and that's just been Swami in my life so far. And I'm at the happiest juncture of my life, I should say. And the changes that have occurred in my life, some have happened gradually, some has happened suddenly, but no matter what, it's just his hands guiding me through through my spiritual journey and through my professional and my family life too.
Sairam, Sister Sowmini, just love how you narrated your story of how he entered. I mean, such a tender age of 17 years old as a child to experience all of that, that yearning, that he taught you that true yearning. He's hearing your voice to give you that paduka that you yearned for. Again, by the way, you are doing chapel service. What is it with this padukas, right?
True. Yeah. Maybe there is a connection. Yeah. Wow. I never even thought of it that way.
So then, yeah. So to be doing service at Kodaikanal it's such a blessing at such a young age, such an impressionable age. What a beautiful way for Swami to guide you in that path. And that darshan, when you're sitting at that step, you are there with your own laundry list. Like we think we are coming to ask him for what we want, but he stands there, gives you what you really need, right? That calmness, that experience of what that feels like. So you can strive for it as you go through your older ages, coming out of school, college, your medical profession. All of that is that holding on to that stillness that he had you experience, right? And that only comes with his grace. So thank you, Sister, for sharing all of your beautiful stories and also your journey as a pediatrician, as a family member. It continues. It will keep going. Swami will continue to guide you with so many more miracles. And like you said, your life itself is the miracle. So thank you for sharing your beautiful stories.
Thank you, and Sairam.
Sairam, dear listeners, thank you for listening to Sai Soul 100 with Sister Sowmini Kommireddi. I'm Prabha Swaminathan. Until next time, Jai Sairam.